Hi everyone, welcome to another Kf3 update video, where today we are looking at Season 4 Operation Shout Hunter, aka the Gunslinger update. Mainly because the Gunslinger class is much more important than the storyline. I'm sorry, the Kf3 storyline is absolutely garbage. Fight me over it. So going over the patch notes here really quick, the first major addition to Season 4 is of course the new perk, the Gunslinger, even though Gunslinger isn't really a new perk when you took it out of the series because it was already in Killing for 1 but in Killing for 2, but I digress. The Gunslinger has 4 different weapons that is currently in the game at the moment. So at tier 1 we have the 2058 Lawbringers, aka they're like 1865 Navy revolvers. That's the best I could guess anyways. Tier 2 the Night Adlers, which I don't know, the best thing I can think of is that they're Vipers, they're automatics. Tier 3 are Desert Eagles. Obviously, they're Desert Eagles. I actually got that name right. Thank you so much. And 50 AE. Tier 4 is the AF 2081's A1s. And those are basically the AF 2011s from Killing Floor 2 with some air quotes upgrades. They look the exact same, they kind of perform the same. So it's basically they put two 2011s together, welded it together, and you got basically quad, or you get dual pistols. So four pistols total. Yeah, however you want best to explain that. And then for Sign Iron, we get a single or a dual variant of the Draconigs, and the best way I can compare those two is if the Walther PPQ and the HK USBs had a love child. They kind of took from both designs. I couldn't find one that actually matches the pistol 100%, but the models actually don't look bad. The Gunslinger gets a gadget called Fatal Focus, which is just basically smart guns from Titanfall 2. So they're exactly what they are, what they will aim for enemy weak points, and you just pull the trigger, or left mouse if you're on PC. He gets the gravity grenade, so the grenade pulls that end and explodes. It's actually pretty fun to use. I kind of was more harsh to it when I first saw it, but it actually performs pretty well. I thought it wasn't going to be able to really do that much damage, but I actually think it's better than the regular frag grenades. For new weapon mods, we got the Sonic Tracer rounds, which every time it hits a target, it marks a target, and then that target will take more damage from that same weapon in that time period. You can mark multiple targets at once, so like putting Sonic Tracer rounds and like automatic weapons actually is pretty good on performance. We got the holographic pistol sights, just another sight for the pistols, nothing too crazy. We have a bolter shock, which adds or replaces a weapon's secondary fire mode, and it discharges the electricity in the direction the mod is aimed, and then the area effect widens as the mod is upgraded. So it's basically kind of a stun gun, a underbarrel stun gun is the best way I can describe it. The Draconig has a unique compensator, help muzzle flip and recoil. There's a 5-round conversion cylinder that replaces a 6-round cylinder out of the 1865s and replaces it with a 45 Colt ammunition, which I do recommend. It punches quite hard. You're losing one bullet, but it's worth it. You also get the powered polymer mag, which just it sacrifices some ammo, but it kind of makes the gun perform a little bit better. It's also, I would recommend using that as well. We have the new map, the Hastur Oil Platform, and actually I kind of like the map, the way the map flows. So it's basically a giant circle, but you have 2 levels to move down off a rappel system, or there's a stairway. The map does flow pretty nice, at least in single player. Multiplayer, it can kind of get a little finicky because players like to go in spots that gets other players trapped. We have the new boss, Moorcroft, the villain of the story of Killing Floor 3. The best way I can describe the boss, we did face him a couple times, is he has kind of abilities from both the Matriarch and the Patriarch. Matriarch in the sense that he can shield himself, which the shield is quite tanky even at lower levels. And with Patriarch, when he gets low on health, he'll run away and I seen him like eat other Zeds or suck up our Zeds to get health. I don't know if that was just circumstance where we were killing a Zed that he was next to, but it looked like he was. But he does regen health, and also he does go invisible if memory is correct. So, but he's not very fast, so you can kind of hunt him down fairly easily, at least at the lower levels. He's an okay boss. I personally wish we had more Zed bosses in the game, not more other dimensional beings. I mean, the time I gripe with Kf3 right now, it doesn't really feel like Kf3, but we might get that to the rant and tangent section of the video, maybe. New difficulty is Sewer Slider. I can't say the word because YouTube doesn't like that, but obviously you guys can read it, so just pretend I'm saying that word right. YouTube doesn't like it, which sucks, but whatever. But let me just point out, it's not new difficulty if it wasn't the other two games, because they also added Hell on Earth way back in the update too. It just, I don't know why this wasn't base game to begin with, but I digress. We got a new mutation wave, so a Mire infestation, which it's interesting. I do like it a little more. I don't like Mire stuff, but it's actually not a bad mutation wave because it doesn't feel like a busted wave that you will lose on like the Flesh Pound wave, where you will lose every time because they didn't balance that properly like they did in Kf4 2. Explosive situation, crawlers score fast and bloats, detonate on death and area effect blast, which I believe we saw in Kf4 2. I don't remember what it was called, but that was also kind of a fun one. New weekly mutators, Chaos Crusade. Every wave rolls a random mutator from the pool and revives or disabled. And Cutting Edge, cut damage is double while every other damage is halved against a wave of permanently enraged Zeds. And then we got some more milestone rewards, which I really don't care about. I don't know if people really care about the cosmetics too much in this game. It doesn't really look like it. We have a bunch of new daily, weekly milestones and achievements. So it's kind of like they're basically copying what Kf4 2 is. So like oil spill, beat on each difficulty, defeat Moorcroft in each difficulty, level up the gunslinger, Sewer Slider, map milestones, which are adding to previous maps, boss milestones for that difficulty. And then we do have some new achievements, and there's some additional PC only achievements. So if you're on PC, you're gonna have some more stuff to grind towards. If you're not on PC, sorry. New quality of life improvements, crafted material exchange. Common materials cannot be exchanged for more rare materials in the armory, which will show that in game, and it's actually quite nice because when you have a stockpile of materials that aren't really used, or at least mid upgrade stage, it's actually kind of nice, especially when you're like constantly running out of like Zed steel, for instance. All weapon shoot sounds have been reworked to add more punch, and I will say this is my most favorite update besides the gunslinger. The weapons actually sound pretty good, and I'm giving them props because I always gave them shit previously where all the guns sound like Nerf guns and the suppressor sounded off. Like, they actually sound better and does make the game feel a little bit better, so I'm actually happy about that. Tier 3 mod abilities are no longer randomly crafted. Players can now choose the ability they want when crafting a mod, which is nice, but on the other hand, I kind of do like the RNG-ness of it. It's not bad quality of life. I think some people will like it, some people won't like it. I think the majority will like it because you don't have to spend countless rare resources to try to get the one mod you want. We got some aim assist updates, toggle sprint adjustments, which is a lot nicer. So sprint will remain active when the player untoggles it. Friends list is not available in the main menu, and players can join games without having to travel to the stronghold first, which is kind of nice. Kind of makes the game flow a little bit better. No longer leaves ADS when dashing, which is really, really nice when you're playing Gunslinger. That was like the first thing I noticed when I was playing them. Various sets have a full voice-over pass. I did hear a couple of the voice lines, and some of the voice lines they actually took back from Kf4 2. At least that's what it sounded like to me. So I think they're trying to convert the game to Kf4 2, which is not a bad thing at all. You actually notice that like a lot of the newer weapons don't look too futuristic anymore. It's almost like the crappy futuristic gun models nobody liked. They have rolled out dual wield for remaining sidearms. For medics, you got your dual sharpshooters, you have your duals, and firebug, you have your duals. Barrel looking reflections in all lighting scenarios. Lighting have been refactored, whatever, I can't read it, on various existing maps. It's a lot more visibility throughout the game. The lighting does look better in game. The game does look a little bit better. Improved enemy melee hit and parry during high-ping network environments, which we haven't really seen. I do notice that my dodges are a little bit more accurate now. I'm not getting hit every time I dodge, even if I like completely dodge to the side and they're doing a lunge. Siren Scream now shows hit impacts that players understand their projectiles are being blocked. And then we do have some performance improvements, which I kind of partially see. We also have some balance adjustments as well. So Artemis damage increased by 60. Now noticeably hit harder per shot. Stormguard damage increased. ESR 36 can now stun, stunning Screak or Flesh Pound 2 hits. All legacy sidearms can now use the same horizontal bash animation as newer sidearms, making it easier to hit multiple sets at once. You can now slide while reloading with Disciple secondary fire mode. Update the reload animation for the Bloodhounds. We went on to 2 weapon testing around runs, so you could bash cancel the reload more efficiently in that situation. We'll actually kind of go over the animations too, because I'm actually really happy with what they did with the animations for Gunslinger anyways. I don't know if they did this with the other pistols. I'm just looking at Gunslinger stuff, and if the reload animations were the same from prior, it makes sense to look at them anyways, because this is the Gunslinger update. Various burst fire weapons. Biomorphic projector increased the base healing of its secondary fire from 2 to 3, while slightly reducing the bonus that builds up the longer you keep healing the same target, so it doesn't become too strong. I still find it really weak. We did just recently use this, and I still feel like it's really weak, especially when I'm comparing it to the health thrower, because the health thrower was like really strong in Killing Floor 2. You just didn't do a lot of damage. That was a trade-off. You did lots of healing, but little to no damage. For weapon mod, supercharged plasma for the Falcon reduced the mod's explosive size bonus by about 18%. Red dot pistol now provides the same recoil reduction as the standard non-pistol red dot sight. Basically, the laser just performs a little bit better, so more accurately, I should say. You can now slide while reloading the underbarrel grenade launcher. Reduce the critical hit chance on the explosive mod from 25% to 5%, so now you need to aim more accurate to land hits. We haven't had a really chance to play with this too much. I'm going to say going from 25% down to 5% might be a little bit too much, but we'll see. Reducing the damage and explosion size of the Yumi exploding arrows. Reduce the damage and explosion size this mod provides at higher mod levels, so that just basically they're nerfing the growth of it. Confusion grenade ammo mod now reduces max ammo by 12 and start ammo by 6, and lowers the ammunition refill bags from 33 to 24. I don't really see anybody run confusion grenades, so it's kind of interesting they nerfed that. The drum mag for the MKR 350 reduces drum mag loaded ammo from 90 to 75. It lowered how much ammo it refills on reload. The mod now slightly worsens recoil instead of improving it, which I guess it makes sense because the weight got lighter. Whatever. Now for the perk skills, we're looking at the Commando, Insider Trading, which is a no-no, by the way. Don't do it, kids. Armor cost reduction increased from 10% to 20% base, and it adds a 10% base off that every time, so it's actually nice. So armor's a lot cheaper. Hothead trigger chance increased from 20%, 23, 26%, 30% to 20, 25, 30, 35. So a little bit of improvement. Base is still the same. Preferred customer weapon cost reduction reduced from 15% to 10%, and it just grows by 5% each time. You still will max out at 25%. Instead of 30%. I don't really know why this is a nerf, because Commando weapons are actually quite expensive, but whatever. Quick return now only triggers when you destroy an enemy's head with ballistic damage. That's fine. For Firebug, the Barbecue Bash damage reduced from 100 to, or I should say the max bash damage reduced from 250 down to 220 because it kind of stays the same growth a little bit. Its bonus damage now halved when it's used with the Taco Kagi, since that weapon hits twice per swing. It previously applied the full bonus on each hit. Duration reduced from 8 seconds down to 7 seconds, and it kind of reduces the growth as you upgrade as well, which kind of sucks. Hot Streak not only triggers when you kill nearby enemies with heat damage, double feature damage dealt per discharge increased from 70% to 80% and increases growth based on that. Engineer Full Blast explosion radius bonus reduced from 30% down to 20%, and then you get a little bit less growth. Our Reverb Pedal explosive damage reduced from 200 to 175, and bases off that growth too. I'm not really sure why they're kind of nerfing a lot of these classes, especially since like the difficulty spike is still kind of a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. Not as bad as it used to be, but it's definitely a lot harder than I would say Killing Floor 2 would be. Medic. Social distinct darts that hit a downed ally now only heal that ally's down death pool. The heal over time effect no longer carries over to the player's normal health until that player is revived. That kind of sounded like it was a bug, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Hard shell for the sharpshooter cooldown between triggers increased from 40 seconds to 45 seconds, and about 5-second difference per level. A sniper now triggers while you're standing still instead of only crouching, which is kind of nice because crouching is kind of a detriment in this game. Yeah, a little bit, kind of like Killing Floor 2. Enemies, the Alpha Scavenger tuning past made of Alpha Scavenger less of a stationary range heavy fight. Less of stationary range heavy fight during phase 2. While it's in sedated state, it can no longer be interrupted by afflictions such as stuns or stumbles. On Hell on Earth, its Toxic Spike Spew and Consecutive Spike Spew attacks no longer use a health-based cooldown. They now use a flat 15-second cooldown. These attacks also try to cancel if they don't have a clear line of sight to fire on their target, which that's gonna shock because that's kind of one way to play. You bait out their attacks and you attack them after they do it. Now they're gonna cancel their attack. That kind of sucks. So on Hell on Earth, its Toxic Gas Bomb attacks no longer use a health-based cooldown. Now they use a flat 12-second cooldown and also try to cancel if they don't have a clear line of sight of their target. So now they have 2 abilities that they can just cancel anytime they break line of sight, which really sucks because breaking line of sight is kind of a staple in Killing Floor games. In Killing Floor 2, that's how you kind of fight a lot of bosses. You break their line of sight when they use ability. Saying that that's kind of one way to play is you break the boss's line of sight and you attack him when he's on his cooldown. It just kind of sucks that now they can he can cancel his cooldown and just keep attacking. By the way, they fixed your Falcon infinite ammo exploit. Sorry, Falcon users. I can't wait to hear about that. And that's pretty much it for the patch notes there. So now we're going to go ahead and kind of look at a couple of the guns and the gun animations of the gunslinger, because that to me is the most important thing in this update besides the sounds. I don't really care about the storyline. I'm not interested at all. Sorry guys, but it doesn't interest me. Now we're gonna first take a look at the, I call it the USB because like I said, it's just their Koenig. Just the standard gunslinger's secondary. So you spawn with one in your hand, obviously, to start, or you can get a dual wield later, which I do like the animations on this. I think they did quite a nice job compared to previous guns. I also do like the weapon inspects as well. I think they look quite decent for what they are. And looking at the dualies, obviously you don't really get the full ADS, but you don't really need it. So you got your standard, you fire each gun independently, or there's another mode where you can fire them together. Up to you for acquired tastes. And I will say there's actually several different reload animations that I don't know if it's part of this update or if it's part of the gunslinger thing. I have no idea. I think it's just really cool that I noticed it. But like basically when you fire one gun, he's only going to reload one gun. He's not going to take his time to reload two. And obviously when you fire two, he'll reload both of them. And then another thing I noticed is when you're like down to your last round on your one gun, he's going to do a different reload animation for that. It's still pretty fast. Just kind of something cool that I noticed. So like they kind of have like 4 total reload animations for the pistols here. Which all the pistols seem to have it, at least for the gunslinger. And the first thing we're going to look at is his starter weapon, which is the dual 2058 Lawbringers. I still think they're 1865 navies, but that's just me. Or did I say 65, 64? Whatever. I get my dates confused, but I like the way these weapons look. I like the way they sound. I'm very impressed. I mean, I am a revolver slut, so they are definitely my favorite weapons already. Really nice animations. Fire one gun, he's only going to reload one at a time. If you fire all the rounds with the second to last one, you also do get a separate animation. He reloads left then right, as opposed to right to left. And then obviously you has his firing mode where he fires both at the same time. I just kind of like that they packed a lot of animations to the pistols themselves. And of course there's a kind of cool animation you could do if you do a weapon and if you do a reload when the guns are full.
You're pretty good.
You're pretty good. Pretty good.
Not gonna lie, that's like a favorite animation. Now for the next tier, we have the Night Owlers, and these are your full automatics solution. So this is probably going to be more for crowd control, not really less damage. You have your full auto, and then you can shoot them independently as well. They do have a little bit faster of a natural reload. You know, I do recommend just reloading when you're empty. It's just still much faster. Oh, there we go. Yeah. There's no fancy animations for this one, but yeah, that's fine. And then for the next tier, we got the dual Desert Eagles. Once again, you can fire these independently. Or fire them both at the same time. Which they do, these sound absolutely amazing. I think they did a really good job with this.
Here's the money.
And then for the final tier of the gunslingers weapons, we have the dual AF 2081s A1s. Jesus, that's a mouthful. You know, fire these independently. You basically shoot both guns twice per bullet. Or you can fire them both at the same time. I will say this gun does reload really slow, so I recommend you just firing the entire mag and then reloading. Now, I will say my only complaint with the Gunslinger update is the Gunslinger can't use the other classes' pistols, which kind of bums me out. And another thing is you have to buy duels. You can't buy one or two independently to, you know, save money for the next round or what have you. I kind of hope they like add an end to buy them individually. I guess maybe it's just because my brain's on Killing Floor 2 and like, you know, I would have like 4 different pistols with just you know, the weight maxed out practically. And this is the new map, the oil rig. I'd say it's a little bit better than the other oil rig from Killing Floor 2, of course. We're just gonna kind of go ahead and like just explore really quickly. This is on easy difficulty, and if I die in easy difficulty, I am never gonna live it down. So we got basically two levels on this map here. Got a nice little Mire dimensional rift. Got a bunch of turret locations, zip lines. The map isn't too big at all. There's pretty much this level. We got stairs, which lead up to the spawn, I guess. Oh wait. Stop it. And I guess now is a good time to show off the grenade, the gravity grenade. So he just, you know, chucks it, sucks them all in, and it explodes.
25% down, guys. Keep up the pace.
So extremely nice grenade. Really good at crowd controlling. I would say it's probably better than a lot of base grenades for that reason. And we use this zip line up here. We go basically next to spawn. We do have some areas that we could run around here as well. Areas to drop down to the floor where we previously were on. Nice little kitchen. Which, you know, leads us over here to the control room. You know, nice little kind of area to loop everybody around. And that area pretty much just wraps us back around to a circle. So really nice circular map with a bunch of different locations to run and train.
Making it look easy.
Hold on, reloading.
And then for his gadget, which is the Titanfall 2 aim assist pistols, you activate it and then it will auto aim for weak points if possible. So for like flesh pounds or scrakes, it will aim at like several different weak points. So I recommend you like using that ability when you have a bunch of scrakes or flesh pounds around the corner. They don't do too much penetration, it seems, so it's nicer to use it on more of the fat Zeds than anything else. And as I mentioned before, we have the material exchange. So let's say I need more biosteel. It will show us the material cost. So it costs like 1 electrical parts, 1 scrap metal, 1 eyeball, and 1 chemical agent. We get 1 of those. You know, fairly easy to craft. Also tells us the maximum we can craft as well. So like if you're a person like me that can't keep biosteel themselves for some odd reason, it'll be a lot easier to make. Obviously, you know, the less rare a item is, the cheaper it is to make it. So if we need Ichor, it takes Z-Tech. To make Z-Tech, we need biosteel and gray matter, you know, so on and so forth. So that's really nice to see. So I can actually convert my 790 electrical parts to something more useful. And look at his skill tree overall. I haven't put too much time in Gunslinger because everybody's playing Gunslinger right now, so it's, you know, it's whatever. Gunslinger does a lot of damage. It kind of has some mildly okay survivability once you get to later levels, but he's kind of the damage dealer. Like Killing Floor 2, he could kind of fill the role of both, but it definitely seems like he's another damage dealing class, so probably gonna make Sharpshooter feel a little useless later down the line when you get to those higher tiers. But at level 2, we have Fast Fingers, which increases reload speed by 20% max. I personally run with that over while I hit fire, you do 5% more damage in critical zones. You're not really too accurate with hip fire. You're gonna hit your target, but you know, hitting critical hit zones to me is gonna be a little bit harder. For your throwable, you have basically it does more of an impact grenade. Center of gravity, pull radius increased by 11%. That's what I'm running. We got strong pull, gravity grenade now detonates on impact. The initial pull deals 50 force damage to enemies on the initial hit. For the gadget, we have set to stun. Fatal focus shots apply 50 stun affliction. Or it will reload your previous held weapon and also increases, also grants 10% of that weapon's max ammo. So if you're kind of low on ammunition, reloader is actually good. I like using health kick. It gives me a 25 health I think level 1, level 2 gives me 30 health. I like using it because cooldown isn't too long, but I might switch to reloader for later difficulties when ammunition starts to become a problem. For the next level, you have opening salvo. The first 3 shots from a pistol deals, I think it's 15% damage. It resets and reloads, so you know, just swap all your pistols. You're going to do a bunch of damage. You have head count, which is, I forgot what the perk is called for Kf3 2, but it comes from Kf3 2. Headshots increase damage by 3%, max at 5 stacks. Stacks decay 1 every 2 seconds. Where in Kf3 2, I believe it stopped counting when you missed a headshot, so this is actually like a little bit better of a perk. To be fair, you're not really getting that much of a trade-off. I think head count might be better long term, but for like initial burst damage, opening salvo will be better. We'll also get stopping power, so it just increases stumble and knockdown by 25%, and body and limb shots deal 10% increased damage. Another perk in Kf3 2 that I can't remember the name because I haven't played that game in a long time and I'm sad. Increased capacity. You get focus fire. Hitting an enemy with the fatal focus increases damage that enemy takes from fatal focus by 15% for 10 seconds, so you just stack damage on one person. Or you get the Accelerado, which just makes their fire increase by 15%. Probably get this because you're going to solo those elite big Zeds a little bit faster. You get Health Expert. Shooting an enemy or indestructible with a weapon, it heals you for 10% health. This ability has a 20-second cooldown between triggers. Or you get Speed Demons, which reload grants 25% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. I'd probably recommend Health Expert because any form of passive healing is going to be really nice, especially if you don't have a medic or you have a crap medic, because you know you only get 3 syringes instead of infinite uses like some other games. For the throwable, you got Anomalous. The implode detonation creates an anomaly at the center that lasts for 5 seconds. It deals 10 force damage every 1 second to enemies within the radius. Or you get Dead Stop. Stun duration increased by 25%, which is probably the better option in my opinion. You got Big Up. Fatal Focus deals 10% more damage to large enemies. Kills with Fatal Focus grants an additional 30 dodge up to 190 max per gadget use. Or kills with Fatal Focus grants a stack of stockpile up to 15 max. When the gadget ends, consume all stacks to restore 2 armor integrity per stacks, and stacks are not consumed while armor is full. I don't know about this because the problem is at higher difficulties, the Zeds are dealing more damage to you. I would probably choose to go with Big Up. Just once again, you kind of want to use this gadget to just melt big bosses, not really crowd control. Reduce cost of weapon and chair by 4% for each equipped mod, which is really nice because those mods make the guns very, very, very expensive. Almost too expensive. I still don't really like the dash economy in this game. I think it's a little brutal. And a magic bullet. Killing an enemy weapon has a 25% chance to add a bullet to your reserve ammo. It does not work with explosive or beam weapons. I don't know if that means that if you like had a explosive ammunition equipped, if that'll work or not. I don't know. It's probably a choice to use one or the other. They don't really sound bad. Capacity increase there. Emptying a weapon magazine grants 5 gadget energy. Requires a magazine to function. Increases max ammo of Fatal Focus by 3. You can't really go wrong with one or the other. Fatal Focus does actually kind of regen fairly fast. You can use it multiple times in one wave. And then at the final tier of the passives, we have Glass Cannon. Maximum health is decreased by 25, but weapon damage is decreased by 25%. Pistol shots have a 10% chance to deal 300 damage. If this shot kills a target, the target explodes, dealing the same damage to nearby enemies. So you're kind of getting that crowd control if you're doing if you have high damaging pistols. Bashing an enemy or destructible with a pistol reloads your weapon and increases your weapon damage by 25% for 10 seconds. This ability has a 30-second cooldown between triggers. Personally, I kind of like the sound of Lucky Shot because I love explosion magic. So that's just me being biased. I mean, Glass Cannon does sound interesting, but you're going to need a good medic to cover you. Unless you can kind of get enough passive healing. We'll see that, once we get this class more leveled up. And then for the final Upgrades were throwable. We have Big Bang, secondary explosive rate is increased by 50%, and its damage is increased by 15%. Enemies pulled by the gravity grenade take 15% increased ballistic, cut, and force damage for 5 seconds. Or gravity grenade pulls an additional 1 time for exploding, and pull rate is increased by 10%. For some odd reason, I feel like the second pull might actually screw people over, so I would probably just go for the flat damage increase personally. A trick shot, fatal focus ricochets to one nearby Z critical zones, but its damage is reduced by 30%. Now, I don't know how it's supposed, if it's just worded weird to me, but is that saying that the ricochet does 30% less damage, or is it saying that fatal focus just deals 30% less damage? I'm not really sure, but if you're going for more of a crowd control gadget, this might be your option. Fatal focus now fires explosive rounds that deal force damage in a 2-meter radius. Fatal focus now fires in full auto, and max ammo is increased by 4, but damage is reduced by 30. So probably go with heavy hitter, because these two kind of limit your damage, especially, once again, I use the gadget for big Zeds or elite Zeds, so I'm probably gonna go with heavy hitter. If you're going with crowd control, I don't know if, for ammunition at the start for a reduced 30% is worth it. Ricochet might personally be worth it, because now you're technically getting double the ammunition if you really think about it. And then now when you craft a new item, you do you can choose what bonus effect you want. It does seem like the effects are mod type based. So some mods you'll probably get, like, for instance, you get like a 1 heal or 1 health per second regen at less than 25% health. Obviously we don't see that here, but we get like daily resupply. We might not get that for another mod. So just when you're building your stuff together, just like keep in mind that like some passives aren't gonna be here for different mod types. And Sonic Chaser rounds are the new rounds. So when you do mark a target, the marked target deals 4% marked damage. You get 3% accuracy, 3% base damage. Marked target is marked for 3 seconds, but resets on each hit, and you get 10 stun affliction. I kind of seen this being the next go-to round, generally speaking, because you don't really get like debuffs like 15% accuracy reduction or 1 less penetration. And then the powdered polymer mag that we mentioned, it does increase your base damage by 3%, but you do lose 1 ammunition, but you get more reload speed. I personally find that better. This does 4 mag size with -11 reload speed, and I just think powered polymer mag is just kind of better overall. We also have a multi-round burst in our deagles because I find it really funny. And then, okay, so my overall impressions of the Season 4 update, aka the Gunslinger update, because I'm just calling it that now. I am quite impressed. I do like the new audio. The audio sounds amazing. I do like a couple of gun models, a couple of the animations, especially with the Lawbringers, because I love revolvers. We did get one new map. We got a boss that is interesting. I just wish it was a Z boss. So I actually don't really have issues with this. Now, me being a veteran player of the Killing Floor franchise, I started late Killing Floor 1, played the hell out of Killing Floor 2 on both PC and console. I would say that it's a kind of a meh update because, they kind of ripped Gunslinger out of the franchise, or out of the Killing Floor 3, really, even though he was in prior Killing Floor games. They re-added him, basically calling it a new class. I'm not really impressed by that. It's whatever. It's kind of, I think, my personal gripe, and a lot of people who've been in this franchise for a while's gripe as well. The new map is nice. Most of us don't care about the Mire at all. So if you're a veteran player looking on this update, you're probably gonna be like, meh, but it does sound and play a lot better because they did improve on that. Now, if you're a new person, new to the franchise, either you're getting the game for this update or you had Killing Floor 3, you're gonna like this update. Gunslinger is probably one of the most fun classes to play right now in the base game, besides maybe Firebug, my bias personally. So you will enjoy playing Gunslinger for sure. I enjoy playing Gunslinger. It was one of my favorite classes on Killing Floor 2. So you will like this update. This is not a bad update. Every time I play this game, I go on rants and tangents. I try not to, but that's just the way I run. So whoopsies. Because I feel like this game kind of has been a cash grab, but, you know, like I said, I've been part of this franchise for a long time. If you're new, great update. And honestly, I would say Killing Force 3, it's been, I think, about a year now, almost exactly, since it came out, and I would say it's okay to play if you're new to the franchise. I had to huff so much copium when I first got this game. I got it at launch, and it was such a disappointment. So I think I would give this update probably I would say a 7 out of 10. I'm fairly happy with the gunslinger. Very happy with the audio. Boss is okay. Map is okay. So, you know, once if you're a new player, you're gonna really like this update. If you're a veteran player, you might like playing gunslinger, so you might get some enjoyment out of it as well. But of course, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe for notification when I go live, upload a video, or do any other shenanigans on YouTube. And of course, don't forget that bell to actually get notified of said shenanigans on YouTube.